Have you ever stopped to think about the fact that the entire lens through which you view your life is completely governed by a fragile, invisible chemistry happening right inside your head? It's pretty wild to think about. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive right into the anatomy of the mind. We're going to completely strip away the stigma and look at the actual biological reality of mental health disorders. The hidden complexities of the human brain are absolutely fascinating. But when those complex systems misfire, well, the results are visceral, terrifying, and honestly, profoundly misunderstood by society. Okay, let's dive into this. When we talk about mental illness, we have to establish right out of the gate that these are physical malfunctions of the body. They are not just bad moods you can, shake off. If you've never personally experienced severe depression, you might kind of equate it with feeling really down. But as the clinical research shows, depression literally drains the color out of life. It isn't an emotion you're actively feeling. It's this overwhelming, heavy emptiness. It is a fundamental disruption of how your brain operates on a physical, cellular level. So, part 1, the weight of mood. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the actual machinery behind our emotions. Our entire reality, our joy, our motivation, our ability to connect with others, is dictated by chemical messengers, specifically neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. These are basically the biological currency of human happiness. Depression is a literal physical struggle for your brain to generate and use these chemicals. When this system breaks down, your thoughts slow to a crawl. Decisions become completely overwhelming. Something as incredibly simple as just getting out of bed in the morning, it doesn't feel like a chore. It genuinely feels like climbing a mountain because your brain absolutely lacks the chemical fuel to make it happen. And this brilliantly illustrates why we have to distinguish between a normal human experience and a medical condition, right? Normal sadness makes sense. It has a narrative. You lose a job, you go through a breakup, you feel sad. But depression? Depression just exists. It's heavy, it's constant, and it persists even when your life looks perfectly fine from the outside. People will so often tell someone with depression to just think positive, but that fundamentally misunderstands the science here. You literally cannot outthink a biological shortage of neurotransmitters. Now, this biological reality gets even more extreme in bipolar disorder. Imagine your brain chemistry swinging wildly between these two extreme poles, completely without asking your permission. One week, you're flooded with this manic, almost superhuman energy. You're sleeping maybe 2 hours a night, buzzing with ideas, making impulsive, super risky decisions because your brain is screaming that you're invincible. And then the crash comes. That high completely collapses into a depressive low where every ounce of energy is drained away. The real exhaustion comes from the sheer unpredictability of it all, never knowing which version of your own brain you're going to wake up with.
Which brings us to our next major piece of the puzzle, the broken alarm system.
We've seen what happens when the mood centers misfire, but what happens when the brain's survival mechanics actually turn against you? Let's look at the nervous system and the raw physical feeling of fear. Meet the amygdala. This is your brain's internal alarm system. It's specifically designed to keep you alive when a tiger jumps out of the bushes, right? But in conditions like generalized anxiety disorder, this alarm system simply refuses to shut off. Your brain starts treating everyday, mundane situations like absolute life or death emergencies. It floods your body with stress hormones over things that haven't even happened yet. You are physically exhausted because your nervous system genuinely believes it's protecting you from a deadly threat that simply does not exist. And when that amygdala completely misfires all at once, you get a panic attack. The physical symptoms are incredibly overwhelming. Your heart pounds like it's literally going to explode. Your chest tightens up. You can't catch a breath. Sweat is pouring down your back. Your hands go totally numb. The room is spinning. It is this massive, sudden feedback loop of pure terror where you are fully convinced you are dying right then and there. But here's the truly devastating part of panic disorder. The attack itself might fade in 10 minutes, but the real trap becomes the paralyzing, life-altering fear of having another one. This broken alarm system manifests in a few different ways. With social anxiety, the brain hijacks the fear response to make every single human interaction feel like a high-stakes, life-or-death performance. Walking into a room feels like stepping onto a stage where every single person is judging you, forcing your body to react with shaking hands and a racing heart. Meanwhile, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, traps the mind in a vicious loop.
It forces these terrifying, intrusive thoughts into your head and demands that you perform desperate, exhausting rituals, like washing your hands until they literally bleed, or checking locks over and over, just to get a few fleeting seconds of relief from the overwhelming dread.
But, what happens when the brain's survival alarms simply won't turn off at all? We've seen how the brain can invent danger. But what happens when the brain experiences a very real, horrific danger, and the alarm just stays stuck in the on position afterward? Before we reveal exactly how trauma rewires the brain, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, please take a quick second to hit the like button, comment down below with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dive explainers just like this one. So the crucial point is that post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is fundamentally a failure of the brain's filing system. Normally, you experience something scary, the event ends, and your nervous system calms down and files it away as a past memory. But with PTSD, the brain gets permanently stuck in survival mode. Years later, a random smell or a sudden loud sound can act as a trigger, and the brain forcefully drags the person right back to their absolute worst moment. These aren't just bad memories, guys. They are vivid, physical flashbacks where the body genuinely believes it is in mortal danger all over again. Moving right along, let's look at navigating focus and reality. So, the brain's chemistry dictates our mood, and its alarm system dictates our fear. Now let's explore what happens when the brain's reality filters and executive control centers misfire. This brings us to the prefrontal cortex. Think of this as the CEO of your brain. In attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, this specific area actually develops differently. It's a structural difference that leads to a chronic lack of dopamine. And it is absolutely crucial to understand this. ADHD is not laziness. The person desperately wants to focus, they want to sit still, they want to finish the task, but their brain simply will not cooperate. It creates this painful, exhausting gap between their intentions and their actual actions. Now, what's really interesting here is how this completely destroys the biggest myth about ADHD. A lot of people think ADHD means you just can't focus on anything. That is entirely wrong. A person with ADHD can absolutely hyperfocus on things that interest them, sometimes for hours on end. The actual deficit is in the willpower to choose what gets that attention. Because of the lack of dopamine, forcing themselves to start a boring or mundane task genuinely feels physically painful to them. Now, when dopamine systems misfire in a totally different way, it can actually fracture reality itself. Let's break down schizophrenia. It's a highly stigmatized condition, but separating the symptoms really helps us understand it objectively. Positive symptoms add things that shouldn't be there: hearing voices, seeing hallucinations, experiencing paranoid delusions that the brain genuinely perceives as 100% real. Negative symptoms, on the other hand, subtract things that should be there, flattening out emotions and draining away speech. The media loves to portray schizophrenia as this external, violent threat, but the reality? The true danger is internal. It's the sheer, silent terror of not knowing what is actually real. This fragmentation of reality and self takes a lot of different forms. Dissociative identity disorder happens when a child experiences trauma so severe that their mind literally shatters into protective parts, or alters, just to survive. Borderline personality disorder strips away emotional buffers, turning everyday feelings into these massive tsunamis of despair or rage, making every relationship feel like life or death. And eating disorders, like anorexia and bulimia, completely hijack a person's relationship with food. It's not actually about weight. It is a desperate, sometimes deadly method of trying to exert control over a world that feels entirely too chaotic. All right, let's bring this all together under one crucial truth: medical conditions, not choices. As we look at the sheer breadth of these conditions, a really unified picture of the mind begins to emerge. Let's look at how all this builds to our core takeaway today. The reality of mental health is grounded in biology. These disorders are physical malfunctions of the most complex organ in the known universe. They are not character flaws, they are absolutely not a lack of willpower. When the amygdala misfires or dopamine runs dry, the brain genuinely, truly perceives the resulting terror or emptiness as ultimate reality. You cannot just think positive out of a structural brain difference. These are severe medical conditions, and they require deep empathy, understanding, and professional medical care. Which leaves us with this final thought. Seriously, if we treat a broken leg with medicine in time, why do we still expect a misfiring brain to heal with just positive thinking?
We don't judge someone for needing a cast for a broken bone or insulin for diabetes, so why do we still so often expect a misfiring brain to heal itself through sheer force of will? It is time we start treating the anatomy of the mind with the exact same scientific respect as the rest of the human body. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If this changed how you view mental health, please hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our next breakdown. I'll see you next time.